Here's a little advice for some property photographers, property and real estate photographers, if you're shooting in the UK. In the UK, we have certain rules and regulations around property advertising and how we describe a property. So in other words, in the past it was the Property Misdescriptions Act, which has been updated recently with a different name, but it generally, effectively, you can't say a property is something that it isn't. So you can't say it's a 5-bed mansion when it's a 3-bed flat, or you can't say it's a 2-bed semi when it's a 4-bed bungalow. Simple things like that. But also you can't. You've got to be fairly careful with the words that you use. So in other words, you can't say close to transport links, because the question is, what is close? You've got to be more specific. You've got to say close to transport links, 1.5 miles to the train station, 2 point something to the next station. So you've got to be there's quite a lot of restrictions in how you describe. You can say elegant and beautiful and grand and all that kind of stuff, but certain things need to be described fairly accurately. One of the things regarding photographers is that not only do we have to make the property look as good as it can, we're also not allowed to hide things that may make potential buyers not want to buy a property. Which may sound mind-blowing, like, what? So there are temporary things, like let's say there's been a stain on a carpet. Yeah, we can Photoshop that out. That's not a problem, because that's a temporary thing. That's something that can be cleaned up, or a new carpet can go in there. But you can't take away things which, if you're advertising the property, which let's say somebody flies from France to London to go to this property, and then they go see it and go, hold on a minute, there's a giant water tank in the back garden. Hold on, this wasn't properly advertised to me. I want you to refund me my flight tickets and all my time to get over here. The big example of that, which I don't think the rules are necessarily the same in Australia, there was this 31A Penshurst Avenue, where this photo, everyone's like, what the heck, this is a total lie. Everyone thought this was a Photoshop job. It could have just been a very clever angle of property, because this one does not show the massive water tank, which is not in the back garden, but the garden behind. So if we just see the next picture, yeah, so you see, lovely, nice. I think that one may be the fake one, because that one's missing the giant water tank as well. Photoshop sky in. Inside, fine. They even photoshopped a fake TV screen going on there. Let's see. Kitchen, all looking good. And all that kind of stuff. Yeah, looking fine. Let's see until you see the giant problem. Do you see this giant thing up here? You're like, what am I seeing here? Is that a giant spaceship coming into land? And then this shot. Then you're like, hold on, what is going on over here? You can't quite make out until you go back to the very first picture, which they've now had to update because people are just going, is this legal? That's the actual shot that you're seeing of the property. So if you rock up to that property and you thought you were going to have amazing views out the back, what you're actually getting, I think, is like a national monument. They have still faked in the sky. They have photoshopped in a blue sky. I'm surprised they've had to Photoshop it in, considering the sun was out. They've still photoshopped it, and you can see it all around the edges there, and the stairs look terrible. But that's legal in the UK. This one, you're so deceiving the viewers by potential background issues or location stuff that would be considered illegal, and people could file a claim against the agent that was selling the property. An experience which I had with that was a property in Edinburgh, which if I show you this nice property, you're thinking, cool, nothing, what are you trying to hide from me there? You might see there's a couple of lines in the background. If that was a sunny day, you might not even be able to see them. What there was, you can just start to see there was a power line. It wasn't in the garden. It wasn't behind the garden. It was in a field behind a road behind the garden, so it's quite a distance away. So I thought, right, you don't want to get that in because it's not really in the garden. It's just kind of the angle that you see it, you might see it. But I had to go back and shoot this property to intentionally get the view of the power line stand in the background. So I was like, really, you want me to go back and get that in? And legally, this is something which you have to do as a property or a real estate photographer in the UK. You cannot hide things or actively deceive potential viewers of obvious things which may either detract from the price or detract from the people's desire. So again, this is the other angle here, but the question is, which is the deception? Because in this angle, looking at this house, it looks like there's a power line directly in their back garden. If you see it, it is coming out their garden, or is even coming out their house. So like that's not that great. And if we go to the other one, it's not right behind the garden, it's a wee bit to the right, maybe it's in the other person's garden. This is an interesting one, because then if I go to that angle, okay, we barely even see it. If I walk down the road a little bit, so that was the house I was at before, the power line, same one, looks like it's in the person next door's garden. So like, should I really be taking that photo? Is that deceiving the viewer? When in the third photo, it looks like it's way over in the third person, or the neighbour's garden. However, I then went further down, or then looking at that person's house, it doesn't even look like it's in their garden. It's down the street, all the way down there. So here, I've gone even further down. So that's the house away down there, down the street. That's the second house. And here we are at the start of a row of properties, a terrace of houses. And that's where it's still the same power line, power cable, power tower, whatever you want to call it. So which one is the deception? That's my question. You're like, hold on. What is the right answer here? So effectively, I think in the end they use the straight on shot showing that is in the background, but not necessarily directly behind them. That one, although it's a nice picture of the house, it is deceiving with that. It does look like it's right in the background. So it's something to be aware of when you are taking your externals. If there are power lines, if there are cables, you're not allowed to Photoshop them out, and not if you want to follow the law. And unfortunately, it may make some properties not look as good as what you want them to, but you've got to show them as accurately as they actually are. So yeah, something to be aware of, and changing the angle can do a whole amazing effect of hiding things in the background, but sometimes you've got to show it. There's a little tip for you, a little experience that I've had in the past. I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago that I did that one. But yeah, it's interesting, especially when you just walk down the road and the power line just kept on following me as I was going down. Really weird. Anyway, hope that helps. Cheers. Bye-bye.